Podcasting will be a thrill. Grandpa and chill, grandson and friends. Grandpa and chill in full effect. We talk about it all, yeah, put it all on the set with that pet craze too. We chillin' with Rosie, come through, stay tuned, yeah, listen closely. Cause this the millennials and the silent generation coming together, discussion in rotation. This is Grandpa and Chill.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Fox. This is another episode of Grandpa and Chill. I'm here with my amazing co-host, as always, Phines, our amazing producer, Sierra, my grandfather, and our amazing guest, Melissa, who was on almost 2 years ago now.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to return home with my folks.
Yeah. If you could recap the audience a little bit on sort of your background, your project, what we talked about last time, and sort of like where you've been at since then.
Yeah, so what's going up, y'all? Melissa Muganzo, pronoun she, they, sis, CEO and founder of Muganzo Entertainment, founder of Mindy's Kitchen, and executive producer of the Big Hysto, a Black Woman Revolution. It's really wild to think that almost 2 years ago we connected and started building rapport with one another because in my mind I thought it was just months ago, but we're talking commas at this point. So I'm like, oh, okay, okay, years, okay. So I think the last time we spoke, I was talking about how I was in post-production and trying to get approvals and trying to find a space to have the premiere. And now, almost 2 years later, on the brink of my last tour stop, we've gone to 13. We've had 13 tour stops, over 35 speeches, radio shows, conversations, being, contracted to talk about justice in this way. And the tour is wrapping up next month. I've got into really beautiful acting opportunities, and I love to do it. And I'm also in the beginning stages of launching a mobile vegan food line. So I'm just really grateful. I'm in a really great space, and I just can't believe it's been almost 2 years. Like I'm processing that in real time, actually. So yeah.
Just for people that haven't listened to the last episode, the project that you're touring with, could you tell the name and specifics and all of that?
Yeah, big bet. So the project is called The Big Hysto, a Black Woman Revolution, and it talks about how racism, sexism, and the various phobias are instituted and embedded in the medical system, and how that has been the foundation of why people are going to the hospital and they're like, I don't feel like I was heard, or that people really cared, or people were treating me kind of weird, or I experienced microaggressions as both a physician and a patient. My insurance denied me for something that I should have access to. And that has been a really beautiful story. But it's also been interesting about how many people have been impacted by this subject matter. I mean, the stories it's everybody. It's everybody. My entire focus was predominantly on womb holders and people that are Black identified, but it has really intersectionally crossed over to so many different people. And it's mind-boggling how many people have been victimized by the medical industry and are your coworkers, your grocers, your gas station attendants, and we're just all going to work every day or doing our thing every day. Our creatives, our actors, our doctors, our lawyers. I mean, when you talk about physicians also having medical malpractice or medical mistreatment when they become a patient, it's like, okay, this is bigger than, anti-physician. This is systematic and it's impacting everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, well, weirdly enough, like randomly, we've had a lot of medical professionals or people in the know in all those fields and stuff, and it's just made me very cynical about the whole thing because it's
How can it not?
it is crazy how it's very fucked on so many levels. I'm curious, like, what surprised you, or what did you learn about the process, like getting this thing out there and like touring and stuff?
One of the two places I really wanted to have a tour stop was, one is at a hospital. I wanted to like talk to graduate students in medical school I wanted to talk to physicians, and I was like, they're gonna burn me at the fucking stake. Like, I know they're gonna see me, they'd be like, you, absolutely not. But I really wanted to talk to them. And then I really wanted to have conversations with like medical technology firms who are just like, creating all these devices, but they have to go inside of human bodies or be a part of people's human experiences. And if you don't have cultural humility in that, you could be producing harm even though you're trying to solve an illness or a crisis. And I've gotten to do that in a number of ways, interfacing with really, really large medical technology firms. That's been really interesting, like Medtronic and Johnson and Johnson. And you'd be surprised how many
Whoa.
people have totally not been taught about the history of this system, but are actively working in it. And some people that want to do good but don't know where to start, and medical students that are literally writing up research for their fourth year in medical school to get grant funded to solve these crises, and then the people that run the money in the hospital are denying their request to research the cure for these issues. And I was like, wow, if you don't have the money and you're denying the research for this at the medical level, we're all fucked. Like, what? Or how insurance brokers and boards of hospitals are not clinicians at all. They're business people, and they decide what the hospital will and won't approve insurance wise. It's so interesting. So it's all of that was just like, whoa, this is so much deeper than just like on the ground level medical racism and sexism. This is a literal system put together for the sake of monetary gain, period.
I didn't realize that board members were non-medical. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, it's okay. I just don't want to. I feel like this question I got to ask now before it gets too far lost. But because I'm really interested, what was like the medical heads up that ends up being this businessmen? Like, what are business people or whatever? What was their like justification for not funding things? Was just like ignorance and not having the eyes open for it, or were there like actual like was what were they saying? Do you know?
So these were people in residency and fourth year graduate students in medical school that were telling me that this is what was going on when they would submit to say, hey, I really want to find a cure for endometriosis, right? And so this is what I did when I dedicate my internship in medical school, and I want to get a residency that focuses on hormone therapy or gynecological practices or all of those things, right? Or uprooting medical racism, when it comes to like maybe Black mortality rates. Like people will really be really intentional about their research subject matter, and it would get denied, and they would be surprised, and they would be told that there's not enough money for that, or we don't have money at the hospital level, or that's not, you're not going to get support, or there's no doctors in the area that can supervise you. And all of those things are red tape, right? Because you essentially could say, oh my gosh, this is a great research topic, there's still a lot of issues, how do we partner with colleagues to find the resolution for this person that has an interest? So that to me was interesting. Or finding out, that a hospital is a nonprofit, so it has to report to a board. And boards are usually handpicked. Some of them are governor appointees, and you don't have to be someone that's in the industry to be on the board. Just like high level colleges, you do not have to be anyone that's ever had an academic, any type of experience to be on the board for a university, because they're usually fundraising boards.
Kind of who you know and then instead of what you know and the experience that you have and so like all that stuff, a little
Absolutely.
nepotism and all that, and then
Absolutely.
that's when not enough
Yeah. And
eyes that are on the
and
quote unquote not enough space for yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I'm not opposed to nepotism, because if I see a friend that I think is a good fit for something, I'm gonna hire them. Like that's what's gonna happen. If I were to
Yeah.
have a niece that was like, whether they have the experience, I'm gonna hire them. And so I think what we have seen is there's a lot of white nepotism, and it's sustained in that way. But I don't think the concept of nepotism is bad. I feel like if it's only for a certain type of person, then that's where we get into challenges. Like if you want to keep a family
Yeah.
business and you hired your sibling, yeah, like okay, hire them. but we can't say that it's bad when it's other people, and we also can't give other people a chance. So watching that is like, oh, there's a certain type of nepotism that has worked in society for a really long time, and people are calling that out, right?
Yeah, I agree because there.
Or like nepotism when you just have no desire to do well at the job. Like if you literally just like, I just want a job and then someone gives you a job, you have no, and if it depending on who that person is that gave you the job, you have no incentive to do it well or to care what happens within it. That's like the big thing because like you said, if your niece is like bomb as hell, like yeah, hire them.
Hire
They're
them.
gonna do a great job. They just, need a job. This is a great opportunity for it. But if your niece like but if your niece or somebody just like sucks, like just sits there and is like, well, Melissa hired me, so I don't know what to tell you, sis.
Yeah.
And then, they just keep sitting there. Then yeah.
And then your niece
Yeah,
who
I mean, I
sucks
know
is
that.
also the vice president. It's like, what? No.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely unavoidable to do the nepotism and stuff because it's like again it's like it's just being like social and talking to other groups because I couldn't help like who do I know besides my family and friends, the people I know close to me. To who do I think I think these people are the best at their job, I'm sure, or I think they're the best candidates. But it, like you were saying, it gets real negative once you get too far gone. Like if you know too separated from the people, especially the people that need help. If someone's out here saying like, "Hey, we're being mistreated and disenfranchised," or all this other stuff. Yeah. You just gotta. I think you would just need to like let them have a seat at the table, right? At that point,
Yeah.
maybe. But then it's hard because people are like, I got a standard of living. I don't want to lose my job. Man. I've been doing this for years. Been in my family lineage for years. This is what we do. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. All right. Thank you for answering that
Absolutely.
question. I know it's kind of a hard one, but I just wanted to kind of hear what they had to say. Um, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries.
Is this what you call favoritism?
I
Yeah,
don't
that makes
know.
sense.
I feel like favoritism, nepotism, it kind of draws the line, but I think both of them are really dependent on the approach and what's being offered, right? So, like we were saying, if we have a family member or a friend or a neighbor who is like, oh, you need a job, I can hire you for a front desk role if you just need a job, versus I'm going to make you second in command and you have no experience and no talking points for the job itself, then that's considered favoritism, and this is doing a lot. But if you just gave somebody a job because they needed it and they have background experiences or they have the potential to do it, and yes, they just so happen to know you, why would I not hire you? Like, I don't see an issue with that at all. Sometimes you only trust the people closest to you to do some of the most protective work, you know? So, yeah, especially if you're starting out, like, who are the people closest to you? You're going to ask your friends, your people from college, maybe your partner, maybe some nieces, maybe some siblings. You're going to ask them to kind of ride the wave until you have the confidence or even the money to hire somebody professionally at a salary that's actually livable. So, yeah, but it can be pretty complicated if the approach is negative.
And I think sometimes, say, a business owner might hire family members, and it's not always true, but they may feel that they can trust them more
Yeah,
to do a good job.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all know that family
They'll
is
be more
50-50.
loyal, you know. Yeah,
It's 50-50 when it comes to family. So,
right, exactly. Right.
Literally.
Yeah, that's why I said maybe. Maybe they will be
right,
more trustworthy, maybe not.
right.
Did you get any sort of negativity or pushback from people like these board members or the industry that you were showing all this fucked up stuff about? Or
No, everybody was like, yep, that happens. Yep, tears, humility, hand holding, roundtable discussions. I mean, I felt really affirmed in a lot of these spaces where I told you I was originally like, well, this is the end. If I'm gonna go out, at least I went on a high, you know? So I know people were like, this is
yeah,
necessary. These are real stories and it's current stories. And I think that was something that people were processing too, like, oh, this just happened last year. oh, this is not a 1920 story that's in a history book somewhere. This is not even something that's in the 1900s period. Like this is in 2020s that is currently happening. And that's been beautiful. And I grew a lot as a business owner. I grew a lot as an entrepreneur, as a supervisor, as a boss, as a creative, as an artist. I grew a lot in those areas. So, yeah,
Yeah,
This was
I
so long ago.
crazy.
The last time we talked, oh my God, the last time we talked to you, we had abortion rights,
I
and now
literally
we
was about to bring
don't.
up Roe versus Wade. Yeah, it
What
was
had
before it
did
was
that
over.
affect the way that you went through visiting these different places and your travel and your stories?
Absolutely. I remember presenting at a college. It was a medical racism and healthcare class for an HBCU in Atlanta, and they got me in, to present. And it was this 2-hour class, and students are curious. Georgia can be a very controversial state depending on religious belief, political belief, like it literally county to county. You just don't know. And so I'm in, having a conversation, and they're like, yes, 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 yes. And they immediately want to know my thoughts on Roe v. Wade. And it took me a while to be like, oh my gosh, I'm sharing my opinion as a Californian. I didn't even realize that this opinion is absolutely different as a, is it Georgian? Is that the terminology, Georgian? I didn't even realize that.
I think
So is it? Is that what it is, Georgian?
I think so. I'm not probably.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was like,
I've
I don't
never.
want to say it wrong.
Yeah.
Or like how different politics are. And this is someone who's born in Florida, but like Floridians, like Florida has a way different mindset on pushing the needle forward. Not everybody, but politically, like it's known to be controversial. And even pockets of California, I was like, oh, depending on which county region I'm in, people have very different opinions about Roe v. Wade and how this relates to that. So that that timing of that was wild. It was so wild. Um, and I think it's still like up in the air. California, we still have rights. You can still have abortion. It's access to medical care, but in very close neighboring states, that's not the truth anymore. So it's wild.
Were you still in the post production process when that happened, or had the film already been done and like touring? And
Yes, at post production, the film was already done when chaos was unraveling. So I think it gave me more bookings to actually have conversations about medical racism and its connection to all of that as a whole. But I just was like, okay,
Yeah.
universe, the timing couldn't have been more aligned in my life. Yeah.
I think that week we were like, oh my gosh, we have Melissa back.
That's crazy. It's so crazy.
Bro, that's
It
wild.
is. It is.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Grandpa's mittens on
Uh,
right now or something. I don't know.
you said you went to 13 different places, tour stops, and Atlanta was one of them. Uh, where else did you go? Where else did you head out?
So engaged with Atlanta virtually, but I went to Dallas, Texas in person, and that was beautiful. I also went to Southern California. Virtually, of course, I connected with some East Coast states, but it was predominantly on the West Coast. So up and down the California coast, from universities to medical organizations to technology firms, to private screenings for like different women's groups. And yeah, it's just been so interesting. Some of these places I didn't even know existed. I was like, wait, this is a multi-million dollar business that's underground and running all of this and nobody knows about you? Like what? Yeah,
Yeah. No,
so
please tell us,
interesting.
because I mean, we need to know a lot of this stuff, because more ears the better. Because I want you to nerd out about what you feel like you learned as a creative and artist through all this in this 2 years of actually getting your hands dirty. Uh,
Yeah,
like,
so creativity is one thing, but everything is business. Everything is business. And I've had to sharpen I had to like straighten my back up and being more confident about talking business because people love talking about creativity, the artistry, the visionary part. People love that. That's the fun start. You get to be creative but when it comes to like executing a contract, that was something I was like, oh, everybody with the blazer on is not running the money. Everybody with the blazer on doesn't have any say so at work. They could literally just have an email signature and a blazer. Like they don't run anything. And so, and they're usually the front facing folks that come with the smiles and the small talk. But when it comes down to actually executing a contract, there's a lot less people that have the ability to do that than more. And so I started reducing my frequency and going to different mixers and stuff and started to get a little more intentional because at this point I was like, this is something I'm not playing around with. It's one thing to build relationship rapport, but it's another thing to build relationship with a purpose. And you'd be surprised how many people just want to build relationship with you just to say they know you, not because they actually want to do business. And that was probably the biggest lesson I've learned. The biggest.
You're talking about money, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about money. I'm talking about executing.
Money,
People
right?
love to process, people love to talk visionary, but when it comes to actually getting it done, completing it, completion, that's where people have anxiety. People get scared of their own greatness. People are like, I'm not ready yet. People will back out of their own thing. I'm like, what are we talking for? I don't want to philosophize for a year. I want to get it done. Can you do it
Can
or
can,
not?
can you can you go just use an attorney, or I know they're expensive, or can you like go on Google and find a contract that a pre-written contract or something of that nature?
Yeah, so I have an attorney, I have a legal team, and I also had to get sharper with contracts too, because emails are great, but sometimes people won't follow through because there was no fine print about what their expectation is. Or people will talk, and people will also be afraid to tell you no via email, so they'll just like stop talking because they don't want the email track record to say that they denied something. They just want to stop communication because legally, if you say that we're not able to handle you, then it's like if you were ever going court, right? It's like, oh, this company said right here they wouldn't hire you, and they didn't state why. So it's interesting how I've just learned that.
So is it better off to just drop your expectations with that sort of a person, or to go ahead with them with limited compromise with regard to the legality of the whole thing?
I think what I've learned is that you're smarter than you think, and you don't need anybody else's affirmation to get what you want to do done. People feel like you have to partner with an organization to get something done, but your creativity is enough, and you need to be selective with who you want to partner with versus you I'm gonna be honest, being hella thirsty about trying to hurry up and partner with larger brands. Because that's where you get vulnerable, and that's where you feel like you're not good enough and you're not strong enough, and you feel like you can't do anything if you don't have this type of backing. But in reality, these organizations, these
Mm-hmm.
brands, they need you, the independent creative that has probably way more traction, way more say so over your own lives, over your own creativity. You can actually get it done versus them running this 7-person email chain up to get a yes when you could just say yes for yourself. So, entrepreneurship and business ownership is really the journey of self esteem and the journey of self actualization. If you believe that you can do it, then you are enough and to do it. You don't need anybody else to give you a yes. You don't need anybody else to tell you it's a good idea. If you thought about it, it's probably a good idea. And that's all you need to know and to run with that.
It makes me think of the song "I Believe I Can Fly."
If you think you can fly, then you can fly.
I recently, I think this morning, I was watching a Oprah speech. I love me a good Oprah speech, and you sounded like a lot of the stuff that
Uh-huh.
she's preaching. That it's you sound, yeah, sounded like. I mean that in the
Oh,
highest
really?
regard, because Oprah's. Oh yeah, Oprah's dope. but also, yeah, you're giving off the same, like you gotta self advocate for yourself. There, you can, you have to be like really intentional, move intentionally, through all this stuff, and learning to say yes and no with intention, and knowing what you want, and how clear, um, how that self worth, self esteem will just make things just so much, just streamline a lot of your happiness, I guess, or at least
You
achievements. So that's pretty cool.
you have more control over your life than you think.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
really
like
do.
it. I like
You know, sort of backing off on what
it.
sort of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I was just gonna make a joke about how I think I'm doing great then, because I don't like doing a bunch of stuff. I'm like, no, no, but like what was that thing, Grandpa?
What I was going to say, I was kind of backing towards the beginning of this show about talking about how uh, your situation may be somewhat controlled by your by prejudice or what for whatever.
Hmm.
Now, I can tell you that I've gone into to a doctor's office and I was told by another doctor, who I won't mention who it was, that if I didn't go in with that other doctor, I would be treated differently than when I did go in with the doctor. In other words, had nothing to do with the racial thing or anything like that. It's just somebody thinks that you're important or you're not important.
Hmm.
Have money or you don't have money. What are you worth to them?
Hmm.
Sense.
And it's so interesting, right? Because you're just there to get a service, right? You're there to get help from a doctor, but the fact that you have to think through how you need to approach the doctor to receive optimal care is wild. That's a problem, right? Because now you're psychologically thinking like, did I dress the part to get help? Did I say the right things? Did I mention the right person? Could things have been better versus like, hey, my arm is broken, I just need to get it fixed. Like that's the only reason I'm here, right? So yeah. Well, yeah, I have a 5 o'clock that I have to run to.
Oh, you gotta head out in 5.
No, she has at 5 o'clock. She has to head to. It's almost 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah, she said she has a 5 o'clock.
yeah.
Got you, got you. Oh no, sorry. My question, real quick, was just, do you think that there's a solution, or these changes can be like fully resolved in like a for-profit hospital system?
Yes, I feel like this is my personal speech that this is the hill that I'm willing to die on. The United States loves, providing choice and option, but there's just some things that need to be automatically a part of the infrastructure, and that's healthcare. We all need it, no matter who we are, no matter our status, our religion, our political beliefs, our income bracket. We all need access to healthcare, and that's something that should be universal. And for folks that want to, access private care, do your thing. Like nobody's mad you wanted to have a private specialist. Like it's just that idea that there's people without health care and they only don't have health care due to economic challenges that were put in place by racism and sexism and all these phobias. That's the challenge, right? I had somebody ask me like, well, how do we address that? I say, well, instead of running from the conversation of racism being the root of this entire industry, we need to start all conversations with foundationally like, this is what the history is. This is what the perceived harm is. This is what optics look like. Then move from there. But you have to get a place of acceptance and comfort around that. We've all been a part of racist ways, religious ways, political ways, anti something ways, because that's the nature we were brought up in, right? The media alone has shaped the way that we automatically are afraid of people or think differently about people. So if we don't acknowledge that we all were born with bias, we were all reared and raised with bias, and we need to be intentional about addressing those biases from the very beginning. And if somebody brings something to us and says, hey, did you think about this? Instead of being offended, saying, oh my goodness, we did not think about that, but we need to course correct. Because that's where we have an issue, is that we don't like anybody to tell us that we were wrong as a country, as organization, because we just want to be right. We just want to be right and like the sound of our own voice. So And it's going to take time. It took time to get to this space, so it's going to take time to turn it over. But we got to acknowledge the facts, right? We've got to.
What was that the response? Was that the response that you got from a lot of the people in the medical field that you talked to of like, well, I'm right, like that kind of thing? Or were people very receptive?
So at first it was very much like, well, this is what the science says, this is what the needs are, this is what the racial breakdown is. And I'm like, yes, all of those can be facts, but let's also talk about the foundation, right? You're giving me present day facts without acknowledging the foundation, or how like redlining plays a part, how there's hospitals in certain areas and only clinics in other areas, right? We need to talk about that and how these cities are built. Like there's city planners in every city that intentionally are building these areas up to have certain resources on purpose with a certain demographic in mind. If we don't acknowledge that from the very beginning, of course you're going to have a hard time getting more patients of color or more patients of various gender backgrounds in here. It's 100 miles from their house, right? So it's stuff like that where we were having
Right.
honest conversation about like let's just acknowledge the foundation.
We need universal health care, absolutely.
Absolutely,
And we all know we're the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have universal health care.
How are we going to be number one but playing number 7? Like what's going on? So yeah, it's
57,
yeah.
257.
Okay, listen, we're last place, the last place that you could ever be in last places in history. So doesn't make any sense, but so yeah.
We love
Yeah.
it.
You got to head out.
You said that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
She's got to head out.
I was just going to say, you said you have to leave shortly.
I
do.
do.
I don't know whether we should.
She got to leave now.
Could we do last thoughts and just where everybody can find you and all of your projects and all that stuff one more time?
Yeah, 100%.
Just so we have it.
Yeah, so of course I love my Grandpa and Chill family. And fun fact for everybody out there, they were one of the first people to be an in-kind sponsor of the film and just show me mad love and support. So you all are actually on all of my flyers and my original branding. So that cross collaboration was really important to me. So thank you all so much. You probably should be receiving an email from my chief of staff with a huge thank you attached to that because I just have so much love and admiration for y'all. And I love that Grandpa is involved with this. I told you I was panicking when Grandpa wasn't on the scene when we first logged in. So I just think it's really cool. And I love that it's created its own longevity. And so for folks that are interested in following my journey, it's muganzoentertainment.com, or you can follow me at Muganzo Entertainment on Instagram and LinkedIn. You can also follow me via Mindy's Kitchen, and that's at Mindy's Kitchen of California on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And I'm just so honored to know you all. And I wish you all nothing but success.
Thank you so much. You are so upbeat. That's nice.
Thanks, Grandpa.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Really.
Yeah.
That's so amazingly kind of you to say. You're really incredible, Melissa. I didn't even know all the branding stuff. That's like so kind.
Yeah.
We'd love having you on, obviously. So
y'all are dope. So I can send you all of that too if you just want to have it for your own, podcast archives. I can send you all that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%.
Phines and Sarah.
I'm donating my last thought to Melissa because I'm just gonna piggyback right on that because I don't have. Whenever you come on here, it's so positive. I just. Aww. And the last like 3 weeks we've just been like talking about how we live in hell and like every day it gets worse. So I'm piggybacking onto your positive last thought. And congratulations on all your success. You're in your bag. Keep doing it.
Thank you. If y'all are ever in California, please hit me up. Please. I would love to just grab drinks or grab dinner with you and just vibe in person. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Be incredible.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Grandpa?
Yeah, I've enjoyed this program. It's nice to be on with somebody that is upbeat and wonderful seeing you again.
It's true.
All right, then we're going to have to do it. We are going to have to do it. So it sounds like this summer we're going to have to reconnect.
Awesome.
I'm ready.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
All right, peace, y'all.
See ya.
Podcasting with Grandpa Bart and Rosie, always on his shoulder. This is Grandpa and Chill.
Grandpa and Chill is brought to you by your hosts, Brandon Fox, Bart Frank, and Phines Jackson. Our producer is Sierra Doss. To watch and listen to full episodes of the show and follow us on social media, visit grandpaandchill.com. That's grandpaandchill.com.